If you land on the right idea and the right moment in time, it doesn't matter what age you are, what moment you are in life, I think there's a business in everybody. Take the risk in the journey and leave the security of the monthly pay packet. Trust yourself and the expertise that you built up over a period of time. What's the worst that can happen?
Today's guest is Nathan Bethell, founder of REFORMERPILATES.com, a platform revolutionizing how Pilates studios, instructors, and enthusiasts connect worldwide. Nathan is leading the way in transforming how this dynamic fitness practice grows across the globe.
There will be so many business-minded people listening to this going, wish I'd have thought of that, because this is a huge movement.
3 years ago, you could have opened up a studio and pretty much just opened your door and you're fully booked out. Now people have choice. Good will really thrive, and if you're not good, you might struggle a bit. You've got to make sure that you understand how to promote and market that. You then have to ensure that you've got the right CRM and booking platform. All of these things you need to level up very quickly to make sure you can be successful in this now competitive industry.
The many people that I know that are really into it do get results. It sounds too corny, but quite life-changing, right? Is that what you're seeing across your studios?
Good question.
In this session of Founder Stories, I get to join together two of my biggest passions, which is business and also health and fitness. So without further ado, I am so happy and delighted to welcome Nathan Bethell from REFORMERPILATES.com. Nathan, everybody will know, I don't need to explain, we normally start with, okay, well, tell us what this weird company name means and what it is that you're doing and the problems that you're solving. I'm pretty sure that everyone in my network will have heard of Reformer Pilates, but your business is REFORMERPILATES.com. So tell us a little bit about the business and the kind of model. And I usually ask about the problems you're trying to solve as well. So if you want to try and go there as well, then that would be great.
Yeah, sure. REFORMERPILATES.com, what we're trying to do is build a global hub for everything Reformer Pilates. And that can be from equipment, which we provide, through to community, to a studio directory and content. Kind of our platform is built in those areas where we've got lots of different kind of approaches, not just one thing. So you'll find a lot of kind of companies in this area just specialize in one area. They may just be equipment suppliers. Whereas we're trying to do more. So we're trying to build that global hub. So if you're a studio, you can come to us and you can look for new beds, purchase new beds from us, and also you can promote your studio across our directory. We've got content where we can support people looking to open new studios. So we've got guides for opening a new studio, all that kind of good stuff. And then a community hub where we're trying to bring everybody together, from studio owners to complete beginners and everybody in between, and bring them together in a community app where we can share ideas, knowledge, content, expertise, and bring that all on together under one kind of platform.
And I bet that is popping, right? The community hub piece, because Reformer Pilates, it's almost like a community in itself, right? It's it's huge now.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it's definitely got, it's definitely having a moment where the growth rate is super high at the moment. But if you actually look back across, my background is marketing, you look back across something like Google Trends, over the last 15 years, it's compounded on itself year on year. So it's not what some people look at as a fad. It's definitely a narrative. It's definitely something that's here to stay. And I think it's definitely filled a gap for people who don't necessarily just want the gym. They want more than that. And so it's definitely a community within the kind of health and fitness that you get more than just a workout. You can definitely build connections with the people that you go to class with and your instructors. So I think it fills that void for people who want more than just a gym.
I think the difference between fad and success or longevity in the health and fitness sector is results. Because at some point, you can be very faddy and you can be very enjoyable, but at some point, if you're not getting people results, they're gonna get wise to that. It might take a couple of years or even longer, but I think that's probably why there has been such a long train of success. So I feel like a bit of a fraud because I don't actually do Reformer Pilates, and I know that I promised you I would do a session.
We'll change that.
Before this show. So I promise you I'm going to go and book that straight afterwards because I feel bad. But what I do know is that the many people that I know that are really into it do get results. And it's actually quite not to sound too corny, but quite life-changing, right? What you see people getting out of this. Is that what you're seeing across your studios?
Yeah, it can be quite daunting the first time you go. There's very much, you've got this piece of equipment that you look at and you just find it a bit strange to look at, and what are these loops and this bar and how does it work? But I think once you get into it and you've got a good instructor who can show you the basics, and you become confident in being able to do 1 or 2 classes, and after that, I think people get the bug for it, and I think they're definitely seeing you see the results pretty quickly. I would say, if you did it for 2 months, you're going to really feel the difference. You did it for 6 months, you're going to see your body change. So many people kind of can testify to that. See, Cristiano Ronaldo uses Reformer.
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran, for his recently was shouting about that he has changed his whole body,
Yeah.
and got into really great shape, the best shape of his life using Reformer. So it's not just for the misconception is just for women, but absolutely not. It's for everybody in between. I think you're seeing a lot of sports people turn to that as well to aid their recovery as well and their flexibility. So you're seeing football players, rugby players get on the machine and realize actually it's for kind of everybody. You can get a great deal of benefit from that. So yeah, loads of people, and I would say Donna, you definitely need to give it a try. You said you were going to
I
give it a
should,
try.
because I'm very tight and I feel like
Yeah.
I need to do something. But no, and I think inclusivity is definitely what underpins Reformer, because whilst it is, it's definitely something that celebrities are all kind of jumping on. And when that happens, that can be off-putting to Joe Average walking down the street, or somebody that doesn't think they're very fit. Or one of the reasons, my husband's a personal trainer, and one of the most common reasons he hears for people not entering a gym is that they don't feel that they're fit enough, which is the most ironic statement ever. But I understand where they're coming from. And I suppose for me, I am relatively fit and healthy, but I feel, as you said, a little bit intimidated by something that I've got to go and literally kind of strap myself into, not knowing what I'm doing. But I think what I hear from the market is that this is incredibly inclusive, and it doesn't actually matter what fitness levels you have. Even if the answer is 0, you can still do this exercise. Is that what you're seeing, a kind of real mix of levels across the community?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely for those who it's low impact, right? So you're not smashing your joints on a treadmill or even lifting. There's different strain on your body. So I think it could be low strain, and then you can level up. So
Right.
you feel confident. You find you can stretch yourself metaphorically, physically, in terms of the way that you can build your abilities. There's probably about 300 or 400 different moves within Reformer, and so it's as you build your confidence and your ability to be able to progress further, that the machine can cope with that. So you'll find that you won't learn everything, and you won't run out of your ability to be able to kind of keep pushing yourself in those predominantly 45 to 50-minute sessions. And you come off there and you would have had a really good workout. Now, there are different types of session, right? There are some that are far more stretch based and far more, call it a slower pace. And then there are the high intensity ones as well. So it's whatever flavor you want, you can find a class that's going to suit you. And there are so many great studios now certainly across in the UK, and I've certainly over the last 3 or 4 years, it's grown massively here.
Well, I
and
have to
continues.
say, my one last remaining excuse has now been ripped away from me, because
I'll get you a free class, Donna. So
Well, I
you've
was
got no
driving
excuse.
through my town a few weeks ago, and right there within walking distance of my house, a studio had popped up. So my very, very last excuse, which is that I obviously don't have time because I've got to travel and I'm too busy. Now I can't even say that anymore. So I have no excuse at all. Nathan, you just mentioned a second ago that you were in marketing. So you're not from a fitness background then. Talk to us about that journey.
Yeah, sure. So prior to this, I'm relatively new to Reformer. So prior to this, I'd worked in marketing for 20 years.
In what type of industries did you work in then?
So started off originally in publishing.
Right.
So worked for a company called Pearson, the big educational publisher, and spent probably about 10 years or so working in marketing for different publishers and doing the loop, building my knowledge and expertise in terms of marketing, starting from scratch. And then went into tech marketing. So publishing doesn't pay very well, but you get to travel around the world, which was great. But so I went into tech marketing, started to really kind of accelerate my knowledge and expertise in digital marketing. Worked for one of the companies who were Google's and Facebook's biggest kind of advertising partner. So we got to kind of manage and see the kind of spends of people like John Lewis and Booking.com and Expedia and all that kind of, those kind of great brands, and see how you would spend your money properly to get return on that investment. So building that knowledge there, and then worked for a few different other tech providers and ended up in IT services and run marketing teams for different kind of tech companies there. Good fun, built your knowledge, but eventually I think in anybody, there's a business in everybody. You just have to find.
Do you believe that?
I do believe that. I do believe that if you land on the right idea and the right moment in time, doesn't matter what age you are or what moment you are in life, I think there's a business in everybody. You just
love
need to
that.
feel inspired and motivated to be able to kind of take the risk in the journey and leave the security of the monthly pay packet. Trust yourself and the expertise that you built up over a period of time. So for me, it was 20 plus years of marketing and figuring out, okay, when's that moment when you're going to want to do it for yourself? I always felt probably I wanted to do that. And this opportunity come along that I ended up waking up about 2 a.m. after being offered the chance to acquire that domain. And then just thought, like what's the worst that can
I love
happen?
the moment.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
the best moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what was funny? It was like it was a chunk of money to buy that domain, but not enough that, I could do it, right? I
Yeah.
could do it, but I knew if I did it, I had to take it seriously. You couldn't do it as a sideline. Initially, I was going to do Reformer, kind of the whole Reformer thing as a sideline hustle. It was just going to be like a side hustle, and I would carry on with my marketing consultancy and working with tech brands. And then kind of got the chance to acquire that domain and just, let's go for it.
So that was the opportunity. It was the domain piece, because I suppose there
Yeah.
are people that are like, how did you get the
Yeah, I
actual,
get
like,
that.
it's not
Yeah.
like a backwards S.
No.
It's actually
No, it's-
reformerpilates.com, right?
Yeah. So my friend says the name of the sport.
Yeah.
My background, I played football my whole life, and when I explain that to people not marketing or even if they are in marketing, they'll turn around and say, "That's the name of the sport." Like how
Yeah.
have you got that? And when of course, coming into this industry, some really great people in the industry said, like, and they're working with us now. They said, "You've got a great responsibility with that domain now. You need to be able to deliver. Like, we've been waiting for you to come and bring a kind of a centralized hub for everything Reformer. So now with that domain, we want you to be able to do this, pull together education, pull together great events, which we've already done, some amazing events, but, and pull together kind of a standard across the industry and shine a light on the industry and use your platform for more than just selling beds, which is kind of where we are now, right? We're more than that. We want to be able to kind of offer more value to more people more of the time. And that's kind of, I think the team, we're trying to still figure out exactly what that means, but it's kind of exciting on that journey. It's more than just doing one thing, which is kind of good.
There will be
keeps us
so
busy.
many business-minded people listen to this going, "Oh, wish I'd have thought of that," because this is a huge movement across the world, really. And yet, pre-you, there are just hundreds and hundreds of studios and members, thousands and thousands of members, all operating in their own little pockets. And all you've done is become a beacon for all of them. And it's interesting you say it's not just about the beds. When we spoke and we did our kind of pre-prep thing, I don't even think you mentioned the beds. Like, that seems to be a really kind of, that's just a module in the product, essentially, of something that's much, much bigger and means a lot more. So what you've done is you've just taken a risk, bought what was, I'm sure, not cheap domain. You can tell us the number if you want to, but I'm sure it's not a lot. I'm sure it's a lot, sorry. And you've plonked yourself right in the middle of this movement and give them something to point everything that they do at, and then been able to feed back data. I'm sure you give everybody data and education and all of this. So you've built this kind of really lovely two-way movements backwards and forwards between you and all of these hundreds and hundreds of people that were operating together, and also letting them up to each other. I'm
That's
assuming
exactly it. Yeah,
now
for
you've
sure.
got people that talk
Yeah.
on the regular that would have never met had you not become that beacon. So I agree with the people who said, do you feel that responsibility? Like, if you go, oh, can't be asked anymore, what would that mean to them?
There's a great guy. We've just launched our podcast, and our first guest was a guy called Michael King. He's like the oracle of Pilates.
Right.
And he's done it for 47 years, kind of launched Pineapple Studios back in the day. And he spends his time now traveling the world, providing education to studios and effectively getting everybody, the teachers and instructors, up to a good level. His view is absolutely you've got a responsibility to be able to now bring people together. We did an event in June in Soho, our first event. We thought like it'd be great to see if we can pull that together, expecting we'd get maybe 30 people turn up to an event. In 7 days, we sold out 70 tickets. People travel from all over the UK, from Portugal,
Wow.
from Scandinavia. We had people come in, people travel in from New York just to come to our first event, and because they've been waiting for us to do that. And I think our ability to be able to connect predominantly independent studio owners together to share experience. Now, most of these independent studio owners are first-time business owners. These are people, we did a survey, and I think 56% of studio owners left their corporate job, and they had their moment, said,
Yeah.
I'm sick of that. I want to run a studio. And they went out, create their own studio. And so what we've done is been able to kind of hopefully bring together a network of those people so they can share expertise and knowledge and, strategies on how to be successful in business. And kind of that's what we want. We want people, we want the industry to thrive and be sustainable. And if they do that, then we'll hopefully win down with them. So I think that's kind of part of our role, is to try and build that community across events, whether they be online or in person. That's, to be honest, the fun part of what we're doing as well. I mean, yeah, selling beds is great. Maybe, the more we do lots of great marketing, and the consequence of that will be that we'll probably sell more beds to other studios, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that's our responsibility.
Absolutely. And I suppose, is that if you are one of these independents, then you're going to get so much value out of being part of what is, I suppose, now the network of that you've created, and those connections will be super valuable. But are you also going to be looking for, because I'm assuming it's not free, so you're also going to be looking for commercial benefit as well. Are you helping them with things like their go-to-market and how they actually realise more value from the commercial value from their businesses?
Yeah, so that's the other thing that we're realizing, that actually we can provide them with strategies to be successful in business. So the event actually we did was kind of how to build successful reformer Pilates studios. And what does that mean? It's more than just bums on beds, right? How do you actually run a business where you can go from one studio to 2 studios and replicate that with consistency? You need to build successful strategies across all of your operations, marketing, sales, digital, in person, all of those things that we're kind of helping them with. So we produce content, like we've got this online guide that you can download if you're thinking about opening a studio. It takes you for a 14-point, like kind of step-by-step guide. Everything you need to know, from, how do leases work, right? This country is crazy, by the way. Well, I definitely learned that. Trying to get a lease on a commercial property in this country is difficult.
Things like change of use are
It's
really,
difficult,
really
yeah.
challenging.
It's the one thing that I think slows a lot of people down.
Yeah. I've been turned down for so many gyms on change of use.
It's crazy. But if you can get over that hurdle, then you get to the next one. And so you then have to become a digital marketer. You've got to build a website. You've got to make sure that you understand how to promote and market that. You then have to ensure that you've got the right CRM, a booking platform. All of these things you need to level up very quickly to make sure you can be successful in this now competitive industry, because you're not the only show in town. 3 years ago, you could have opened up a studio and pretty much just opened your door and you're fully booked out. Now people have choice, and the good will really thrive. And if you're not good, you might struggle a bit. And
Or if you've not
so
got a good strategy anyway.
exactly
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
think if we can, we're leaning into the people who've been successful and they're sharing their stories. And I think, again, going back to our platform, I think we're not the experts in Reformer. We're facilitating the
Yeah.
stories and the expertise of the people who are, and we're going to use our platform to kind of tell that story.
It's a fantastic idea and a really transferable idea as well. If people are listening that wanted to start their own business, it's a really good idea to look for other industries that are maybe fragmented with lots of solopreneurs just kind of mulling around, doing their thing, or using different systems. I mean, recruitment's done it. There are lots of these businesses that are trying to do the same kind of thing for small recruitment companies, badly or well. I'm not here to comment on, but it's definitely a really solid business model, as long as you're providing the value and you're not just taking a monthly fee off them and they're like, we don't actually know why we're paying that. And I'm not going to mention any other networks that do that, CrossFit. Anyway, moving on and actually moving further back. So we touched on your career pre-Reformer Pilates. So we know you come from a marketing background, and I'm sure that has paid off time and time again, not just in the way that you've managed to build your business, but also the value that you're able to provide to the studios as well around go-to-market and how they should grow and how they should market their studios as well. So I'm sure that has come in useful in many different ways. But if we go a little bit further back then, because it is founder stories, and talk about you as somebody embarking on their career, what were you like as I suppose a student, and did you I'm really interested in what you've said about there's a business inside everybody. Do you think you're naturally entrepreneurial, and or were you more of a kind of academic?
Come from you're a real working class single parent background, and I think that creates, you have to be entrepreneurial if you want to eat. It's funny, if you didn't have enough money in the household to be able to kind of literally feed yourself, you go out and you do stuff. So, washing cars when we were 8, 9, 10 years old. So it's funny, you kind of group together. Think about the kids in my old neighborhood. We would all get up and we would go out and we would knock on doors and wash a car for 10, 20 pence, and we'd take a bucket of water and we would literally just walk around the neighborhood. And we do everything, anything to earn.
You were very
some
cheap,
I
Nathan,
know,
because
but back
you're
then,
not very old.
well, I'm older than what I look. Maybe it's Reformer.
Reformer. As an extra plug for Reformer, you look like Nathan, who's actually 70.
But that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
That's what we did. And we would do anything to earn some money, right? Just to be able to buy some, if I think back. And that's not, that's not new. That's all the kids in that kind of, I guess, from that kind of working class background. That's what it would be.
Yeah.
You always kind of you need to hustle, I think is probably what I would say. You're not going to be given something. You're not being granted that, a free ride, if you want to call it that, So you hustle along, wherever you can try and make money, you can. And then as you go through school, I always was going to play football. And, I should have played football at a better level than what I did. I played at a decent level, but not good enough. And then you quickly, as you get older, you realize you're not going to be that. You're not going to make that. So you go to do from your GCSEs, did okay in those, and then did A level. I only do A levels until I can play football, and of course you pass your A levels. And then I thought, oh crap, I've got to make a decision. I'm going to get a job or go to university. I thought, I don't want to get a job, so I'll go to university and carry on playing football where I could still make it. So studied kind of film at university and really enjoyed that. Love films, but all through that, it was just hustling away, just trying to make money. Me and a couple of friends, we started our own little nightclub business, if you want to call it that, where we used to hire venues, put on DJs and run events where we'd charge people. We just house and garage events. It's funny, we made some good money doing that.
Yeah, it's really good money in that.
So yeah, we spent it all though. But
So what age were you then? Was that at uni that you were doing that?
No, that would have been 16, 17.
Really, way before.
Yeah, 16, 17. And yeah, it was good fun. Still friends with all of those guys. So. And yeah, so you kind of go through and you try and earn your money where you can. But then you eventually got to go and get like a normal job.
So that the normal job thing would have been the realization around
After
I'm
university.
probably not going to be a professional football
absolutely.
player.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how did that realization come around? Because that's a moment in a different
of
sense.
course.
It's like
And of course, there was a lot of good football players where I'm from. Some of them should have really gone on to play at a very high level, and they were probably a bit further along than I was, and they didn't make it. And you end up going, oh, we didn't make it. And you know what it was? It's the classic story of like girls and going out and drink and those things get in the way. And I think if you probably had a bit more structure and direction, you could avoid those, we call them distractions, and focus more on it. So I think the people who do make it back then, and even more so now, are the ones who are absolutely focused at a young age of not getting distracted. And
do you think that's on them, or do you think they have slightly different backgrounds where they have more
I think it helps if you've got a background of people who can guide you. And, and force you to stop making the mistakes. I think if you've got that, then that definitely helps. But also it's got to be internal as well. You've got to know that you don't want to do it. My youngest brother, because there's 6 of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a load of us. My youngest brother was always like that. So from 7, 8, 9 years old, would never eat rubbish, would always be that. And he went on to be this amazing athlete, like running the marathon in 2 hours, 20 minutes. Yeah. And he's a big PT guy. So he was not a, runner. And so it's just, I think you have to have it internally, for sure.
Yeah.
Not being distracted.
Definitely. Who would you have played for?
I mean, weirdly, I was born in Chelsea, but my team's Liverpool. So,
same.
So, I was given a Liverpool shirt when I was young and just stuck with them. My dad was at the time, was the main police officer at Chelsea, so he used to look after him. Back in that days, in the 70s, 80s, it was all hooligans, so he hated football with a passion. Certainly was not keen about kind of us being massive football fans. All of my brothers are massive football fans.
So you lived with your mum?
Yeah.
And your dad was a copper for Chelsea?
Yeah.
But was not fond of football.
Hated it. Because there was, back then, it was all
Did the
hooligans.
love come from the football love come from your
absolutely
mum?
not. No.
Why have you all just got obsessed with it? Because usually we hear like, oh, it's my dad, he used to take me to the games or whatever. How did you all get obsessed with football? You know what it is? It's again, probably the same thing. It's just working class, isn't it? You can afford a football between the group. It's actually, if you think back in the community, somebody would be able to get football. Like, and then that would be the person who would bring all of the guys together. And we would just spend all day, every day, kicking a football around. And that's all we did for years and years and years and years. And that never changed. I'm still doing it now. I love that. I feel like I get a little bit nostalgic. My children are much, much luckier than I was. Much luckier than I was. More fortunate, shall we say. And yet, all right, it's from his iPhone 16. But when my son is about to go out anywhere, he'll be on like a group call and the only topic is who's bringing a ball, like who's got the ball. And so he will just be going out, and so that still happens today. I think it's innately in us to do it. All right, it might be slightly, they might get dropped off now in a nicer car and meet up, and they've all got their phones and they can all afford to go to the shop halfway through and buy Prime or whatever. But I think the sentiment is still like absolutely there, and I just love that. I love it when I hear them speak like that because it's like real kids. Things are different now, right? I mean, there's the gym. A lot of the younger lads will give up playing football now and go to the gym for different reasons, which I find a bit of a shame. It's a shame that they get to kind of, 15, 16 and stop playing football and then just go and pump it up. Yeah, and go to the gym for different reasons. But everyone's got their own path. Definitely. So now I'm mentally trying to make the link, because in my mind I'm like, right, okay, you've actually done exceptionally well. You've got yourself through school, through A-levels, and through a university degree with very little financial support by the sounds of things. Did you work through uni? So I was the last year that I went to university where the government paid you to go to university.
So sounds strange when I say that to kind of a younger generation. They're like, "What do you mean?" Like, and now we used to get given grants, right? So there was no fees. You got given a grant to go to university and all that kind of stuff. So that was normal. Yeah, and then I just was playing football at the time, getting paid kind of conference, semi-pro type level.
Oh, okay. So you made it quite high up the ranks
To
then.
a decent level, but not the level that you should have made it to. So enough that it could pay your way,
Yeah.
pay the rent and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So you've done your degree and you've got degrees in film. So it's
Yeah.
like a bit of a weird link into marketing there, but probably
Yeah,
not that much.
it's not really. I mean, it's funny. It's one classic case of those. You study something that you never use again in your life, and it's the truth. So, but love film, so needed to do something that was interesting to me. Fill that gap before deciding actually, do I need to go and get a job? And then as soon as finishing that, effectively end up at Pearson working and as a marketing job, promoting textbooks in marketing and business. And that's, back then that was direct mail, sticking flyers in envelopes, sending them out to lecturers and hoping those lecturers would recommend the books. And that's what marketing was back then. And then the internet kind of launched, if you want to call it that, back then. Yeah, it changed everything from there.
I just take a moment to realise that marketing was a thing before the internet. I mean, that is quite, and again, I go back to saying you're not very old, but it's a weird concept, right? Because now we talk about before AI and we think that sounds weird, but if you take it a step back than that, when actually now if we think about marketing, we immediately turn to sequencing and paid ads and AI and all of these things that the technology facilitates. And actually true marketing isn't any of that. That is just a distributor, and
Correct.
marketing is something else.
Yeah, it's exactly that, isn't it? I mean, it's just connecting somebody with an audience, and that's just a channel. That's just a channel for that message to get through.
Yeah.
So back then, stick a flyer in an envelope. A lecturer would open up that flyer. This looks good. I'll request a copy. They'd fill out the little box they'd post it back to us. We would undo it. Okay, we'll send them the book. They would then go, okay, this is the right book. I'm going to recommend this in my course. And then 500 kids would go and buy that book. And that's how marketing worked back in for that industry. Things are not massively different, I don't think, now for that industry. It's just different channels, but the same process. And so, yeah, if you understand your process right in any business, you're just harnessing channels to be able to get to the audience. That's all it is. And try and avoid the noise and the distractions. Back to that, right? If you can cut out the distractions, you can get somebody's focus and attention. You have a much better chance of them understanding that and converting into a customer. So that's our goal, is to try and find that next group of people who want to be studio owners, and our job is to empower them to be able to do
same
that.
principle. Yeah.
Provide them the resources they need to kind of help them make that decision. If they do that, then we have a good chance of winning with them.
And absolutely, if you were to reach out to somebody who had never even attended a class or had any desire whatsoever to set up a studio, you'd probably have the same results as if you would have sent out a little slip to somebody who the Pearson books were of no relevance to. So it's the same rules, is that you've got to identify your ICP, and you've got to create the right content for the right audience, and then make sure that they've got access to it and they understand it, and they mentally link it to a pain point or a passion or something that makes them, that makes their heart maybe skip a couple of beats or get excited about. And so the principles are exactly the same. If I would have asked you 2 days into your role in Pearson whether you thought there was a business inside of everybody, what would you have said then?
I was always uncomfortable in a full-time job, is the truth. I always, it's funny, you can spend a lot of time in it, but I always felt this is only temporary.
Yeah.
I don't
know
get
the
a feeling.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not for me. I'm only going to do this for a little while until I figure it out. And you can, sometimes takes a little bit longer for others, but I would definitely say so. I think if you're in marketing or sales, you naturally have that in you. It's part of who you are. It's your makeup. That's why you choose to do that rather than working maybe in accounting or in HR or any other kind of. I just think over the years, the people I've met in marketing and sales, most of them, I look and go, yeah, you could run a business. Like, you've got something in you, you could do it. Now, a lot of them don't because they're scared about the giving up the monthly paycheck. But I've got this interest. I've got a group of friends who over the years, we've all worked in tech marketing on a WhatsApp group. And for the last few years, I keep saying to some guys, you've got to find another job because AI is coming for your jobs or our jobs at the time. And they're slowly starting to see it now. Like, you know, a lot of these big tech companies are creating layoffs and various different things. And, you know, the reason being is because the process can change now. They can take cost out of that process in marketing. And I think so people need to realize that, you know, AI, go back to your point, you know, if you need to harness it, but also need to be aware of it and it's going to come for a lot of people's jobs down the line, I think.
Which makes the whole theory of I'm going to stay in this job that I'm not 100% happy in for the security blanket kind of flawed in a way, because if your name is above the door, then you surely have a lot more control over your destiny.
Maybe, but maybe it's coming like, you know, maybe it's coming for everybody's job at some level, because, you know, if you think about marketing, there's nothing, I always say to these, there's nothing you're doing that AI can't do better. It can understand your customer. It can refine that process. It can take that message. It can take that budget. It can build a campaign. It can deliver it more effectively. It can understand the changes and tweaks it needs to make way quicker and faster, better than what you and I can. So you need to figure out how you can play around the edges where AI is not going to kind of eat your lunch.
Around the edges is where I tend to reside. I like to build personal connections and relationships, and I'm very conscious that, you know, the whole go-to-market journey, if you like, the whole go-to-market engine, there's a lot of elements of that, a lot of components of that, a lot of them marketing related, but also some sales related, definitely RevOps and things like that I'm delighted that AI is around because it makes it go much, much faster, but also clears the way for you to really shine as a human, whether that is a marketeer, a seller, and build some pretty special relationships and connections. So I think for me, I feel like AI, if you're in sales and marketing and you want to be in sales and marketing and stay there, you have to work out how to shine as a human so that you are irreplaceable by AI. When I said that kind of 6 months ago, that was prior to now AI having an AI SDR. I mean, how long before you're going to have an AI CRO? But ultimately, you know, you still need to shine at the relationship side and be a decent human. And I think you've got a job for life in, well, say job for life in sales and marketing. But I do agree that as well, that people who have those skills and can shine in those elements, why not also be a founder? Because those are the things that also make great founders as well, and help you to build businesses and build connections in the same way that you guys have REFORMERPILATES.com and really bring everybody together. What's next for the business? The business is quite new, right? How long have you been around?
Really since last start of the year, January.
Oh, so really, really quite new.
Oh, yeah, really quite new. We spent the back end of last year kind of building the site and the platform. And
you've done so much.
And then we thought, okay, we'll launch. And yeah, we've done a lot. People say that, but you
Yeah.
always look at yourself in a critical view and you go, we should have done more.
That's
right?
a founder thing, though.
Yeah, we should have done more.
That's
right?
such a founder trait.
But, you know, we've got good people working like in the team. They're just like, they hustle. Like, you know, they'll probably leave me one day and start their own businesses, but I hope they do actually.
That's success
but,
right there, isn't it?
they hustle and they have got the desire to see the business grow. So yeah, so what's next for us? I guess our growth journey, we want to really kind of establish ourselves as that community platform for community, if you want to call it that. And one of the things that which we're in the process of launching is the Reformer Pilates Awards, which we are about to launch, where we'll nominate, so studios can nominate themselves and have their clients vote for them. And so in the different regions, you'll be then kind of hopefully up for the, your best reformer studio in London.
That's
or in Essex
amazing,
or
because certainly as these kind of small businesses, these solopreneurs who obviously care dearly about their members and invest a lot into them and their health and how they feel, this is an opportunity, I suppose, for you to make them feel good and to celebrate their success. And if like you said before, they've left six-figure corporate jobs to take this risk so that they can do something where they feel full and they feel as though they're giving back to the community and giving back to themselves and building a future, I think that's something to be really celebrated for them. So it's great that you're giving them a platform and opportunity to do that. How exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a big project for us. There's no two ways about it. Is to launch those. We're super excited about it. I think it'll be a really great project to deliver.
Yeah.
We'll have a really cool event early in the start of next year that we'll be able to kind of celebrate and celebrate all of the winners and that kind of cool stuff. So that's something which we're really looking forward to kind of delivering. Over
There's
the
some
next
very
few months.
bendy people in the room.
There'll be a lot of flexible people.
Yeah, the dance floor, I think, will be very interesting at that event. People being able
For
to
sure,
move
for
in
sure.
all ways and forms. But I think it's great that you're doing that for them. I think that's super important. Whenever I love awards season, I really feel, some people are like, oh, do you not get sick of going to this and that and the other? And in some ways, they often happen in winter, and it's like you just want to stay in and eat cheese, and I don't really want to squeeze into a dress. And actually, when you go, it's a really nice way to retrospectively look back over the year, think about what you've achieved, and just give yourself a little bit of kudos, which we don't often do, particularly as founders. I mean, it never happens, right? We're always wrong. We're always self-critical. We're always looking for what we could have done better. So it's that opportunity to go, do you know what? We're doing all right here. Times are tough and we're smashing it. So it's brilliant that you're giving people that platform and that opportunity. And then apart from that, is it just growth for you guys? Just bringing on more studios,
Yeah.
and building the community?
Yeah, growth for us. So we've got obviously across our different parts of our business. Yeah, for sure, growth. Adding on more studios, building our marketing play.
Yeah.
So kind of partnering up with the right partners, the tech partners who kind of provide platforms into this space, building those relationships.
Is that like the booking platforms and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we also represent, like, if you think about our position, we can represent a great opportunity for those tech.
For a marketplace,
Exactly that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
building that community into a marketplace is exactly it. Where we've got all of the providers, and that can be all sorts of different things, whether that be insurance providers or tech providers, legal services, all that kind of stuff. The community can very much be a marketplace. So whether the tech providers, insurance providers, interior designers, all of the kind of service providers into studios, we very much want to kind of grow that community to enable those partners to be able to offer services and expertise to the next generation of studio owners. So we're helping people make the right decision quicker. So and I think that's kind of part of what our growth over the next year will be around is building that community out.
I absolutely feel like if I was thinking of, or if I currently had Reformer Pilates business, or I was a vendor into that sector, my next move would be getting in touch with you quickly, because you're going to be the bridge that sits between the two. And I actually feel like it would almost, in my mind, be risky not to work with you if you are on either side of that fence right now, because I think you genuinely want to help and bring them both together. The byproduct of that is that you're building a really awesome business for you, which is important. But I think the outputs of that and the outcomes of that are you're de-risking this whole thing for these essentially quite small businesses, because you're pre-vetting these vendors to make sure they're approved, etc. So I just think that would be for me an extra layer of security if I was setting up my business. I think that if anyone's thinking of doing it or they're doing it already, they should definitely reach out to you.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I mean, if you're a vendor as well, if you think about the booking platforms, just this last 6 weeks or so, I've passed across 25 new studios to those vendors, and that's a really highly qualified lead if I throw my marketing hat on.
Wow.
I mean, you are literally giving somebody, like, I mean, they are opening a studio, they're in the right moment, and we're passing those over to the vendors so they can do their part. So
You're going to get a nice bottle of wine this Christmas.
I don't know, maybe we'll get a nice bottle of wine.
I think you should.
don't know.
I think you absolutely
But yeah,
should.
it's about that kind of that community. That's my big vision, is to be able to build that community out, because if you do that right, then you've got people around the edges who will offer the right services and will partner with those people to offer value to the community. And if you do that, then everybody benefits, right?
Everyone was. It's such a win-win. There's 3 clear winners here, and if everyone does their bit and gets it right, I think you've absolutely created something where there doesn't have to be anybody who's trailing behind. Which I love. I love that when a business provides so many wins for people. I think that's really, really sustainable, good business.
One of your earlier questions, actually, I forgot to probably answer that properly. I know we're probably a bit short, but I would say in the landscape right now, there's still green space, right? So people are surprised that I was able to acquire kind of ReformerPilates.com. What do you mean? That's been around years, surely? Like, well, no, it hasn't. So I think it's just like being aware of, like, look at any community, right? And what's needed in that community. Like, you can fill that space, right?
Yeah.
So if I think about what I've done here in Reformer, anybody's hobby, right? You need one of probably 4 things. You need something to sell. You need to know where to go. You need some content to learn, or you need to connect with people. The logo in the top left-hand corner can change, right? You can build that platform for any hobby or community and offer that same type of service that people will value. I still think there's a lot of old school forums out. I'm a car geek, and there's still a load of old school forums out there that need modernizing, but that you can build a new platform that brings these people together with the right vendors, with the right product, with the right content, with the right community. If you do that, whatever the hobby is, there's always going to be an audience there who kind of are willing to engage and connect with that. So I just say that there is green space out there. I think if you think, oh, all the ideas are taken, they're not.
No, and when you were telling me what you've done, I was also thinking exactly that. I was like, actually, you've just gone, oh, hang on a minute, why are you all separated? Why don't I just
Bring it all
put it
together.
in my go in the middle? And like you say, Reformer Pilates will not be the only example of that. There will be others. So if you are super business minded and you're looking for ideas and problems to solve, maybe start there, because that's a brilliant idea and a brilliant business model. But you have to get it right, though. I feel so if you were just to go in and be super greedy, charge everybody a membership fee, they never hear from you, they don't get any value, it would soon fall down. So you've obviously only delivered on each and every one of them, and therefore you've retained them. So you're able to have that compound effect as well, where you're not having 2 new studios join this week, but 4 leave. You're constantly stuck on like 20, 30 studios. You're retaining what you've got, keeping what you have, looking after them, they're safe, and then you're building more and more and more and having the sale effect, which is the same kind of model as Reformer Pilates itself, right?
Very much
It's
so.
retained its existing loyal members, and it just adds more and more and more, and that is a really good business. That's what we're all looking to do. I always say to people, there's no point in getting excited about new business if your account management and customer success teams are letting all the water out of the bath on the other side, because your net revenue retention will never stabilize. So the idea is to be really, really good at both, keep the water in and watch it fill up. So that seems to be what you guys have done. I'm sure if anyone is like, yes, I want to do the same thing, I've always found you, I'm sure you've got no time at all really, but I've always found you've got all the time in the world, metaphorically. You're very, very accessible, and I'm sure that you wouldn't mind having a chat with anybody that wanted to connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. Always got time for, when you start these journeys, you'll like what you're doing here, you're seeing people because they want to see other people grow, like you do. It's like, because you want to see people go for it. Like there's nothing stopping you other than your own risk appetite. So, you'll find a way to, of course it's hard. It's hard to find money to get things going, but you'll find a way, you'll figure it out. Don't be scared about the things that you don't have. Just, if you've got the desire and motivation, got a laptop, that's all you need, right? And you'll figure out the rest.
Great advice. No, I completely agree. Those are the only real elements that you need, and ultimately, the jobs are still there. It's not like you make that decision and forevermore you will never be able to get back into work. If you're the type of person that has the inclination to start a business and can make that leap, the chances are you can give a bloody good interview as well, so you can get back into work if you ever needed to.
Yeah.
If you're a hustler, you're a hustler, right? So
I don't think you'll ever lose that. You learn from
Yeah.
everything, So, I think anybody you see, who's been around business will respect you for having a go.
Definitely.
So I think
And if they don't, you don't want to work for them.
No, exactly. So I think there's definitely the people who will say, I had a go and I learned, and if I was to do it again, I'd probably change some things. I think you're progressing yourself. You're building your own experience and knowledge and expertise, sometimes without even realizing it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly
um,
that.
which, I'm still doing with this, I'll make no doubt I'll make a load of mistakes along the way, but you just zoom out and it's okay. Things will be
Learn
all right.
on you go. Exactly. Well, I was so excited about having a chat with you today because, as I said at the beginning, I've not actually had anybody on that's in that kind of the area that I'm super passionate about, which is obviously health and fitness, as well as the whole go to market. I love what you're doing. I promise you, by the next time we speak, I'll be very sore because I will have tried and got stretched and probably tried too hard and gone all out on my first class, because that's what I tend to do. So I've probably been in a lot of pain. But either way, I promise to get started. And I think everyone else should give it a go as well, right?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely. Give it a go.
try.
Find your local, you can go on the site. We've got a directory on there. Find your
So
local.
go to your site. So go to
Yeah, you can go.
reformerpilates.com,
we've got them in
and then you'll
local.
find your
Yeah,
local
yeah.
studios
There's a
from
studio
there.
director, and you'll find your local studio on there.
I'm telling you,
Just
Nathan.
Yeah, you can submit the form and we'll get you, any kind of promotions that we
Yeah.
can connect up with. So, but yeah, just give it a go. I mean, it's great fun. I definitely think it's a good bridge between kind of like PT. It's like PT light.
Yeah.
So you're in a
Yeah.
small group, so
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
that a really good instructor will give you a load of real, a focus and attention and correct your posture and all of that kind of good stuff. So
Yeah.
you get a load of the value. And I think, like I said, and go back to, you've got a nice little community within your class. You and the 5, 6, 7 other people in that class will build a connection there, and you'll find that you'll probably end up going back to the same class week on week. So it's kind of
Amazing. I love that. Nathan, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. I know this is going to be such a popular episode, and I'm sure that you'll be inundated with connection requests afterwards. I've really enjoyed meeting you. So thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming on.
Donna.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.